that is what you are. You are the quality called individuals that have chosen to come and represent your territory, to absorb information, to take it back to your territory, as well as build this collective unit that we have going on. Everything. You cannot think of any one particular aspect of society or civilization that did not spawn out of or was not directly related to agriculture. Okay, now we talk about the first civilizations. When you remember when you were in history class back in like elementary and middle school, for those of you that attended public schools, they first started teaching you about civilizations that all sprang up around what? What did they start? Around a certain geographical structure. Who can tell me what it was? I think I heard it. Water. Water. They all sprang up around water. All right, we're talking about West African civilizations along the Niger, Kemetic civilization, Nubian civilization along the Nile, Chinese dynasties along the Huang and Yellow, and it's another river over there, the Mississippi. All right, so all of these things, all those civilizations sprang up around those areas because of that one premise, that you have to have fertile land. You have to have fertile ground in order to spring up a civilization, in order to live, in order to eat. Okay? So you wouldn't see the surgence of civilization if it wasn't for these water basins and these major river systems. All right? And as our ancestors began to figure out how to domesticate and stop being nomads, then they found, they came to the realization that we can slow down. We don't have to keep moving from spot to spot to spot to spot to try to figure out how to maintain life, how to figure out how to survive. All right? So we all know that that's basic history, geography 101. But I'm just setting that story up and setting that example up to really hit home the point that we all need to be engaging in some form of agriculture. All of us. It doesn't matter what your profession is. If you don't have time to run a little farm or a backyard farm, then grow some herbs in your windowsill. I mean, it's just that simple. That's what I stress and that's what I advocate. Make sure that you are turning that brown thumb into a green thumb, so to speak. All right? Make sure you're growing something, because once you start growing, you get used to the growing process of life. You begin to see how life actually takes its time to mature through care and nurturing. And then through agriculture, what we end up doing is that we see how to actually care for people. We actually see that direct correlation between how to care for plants and animals and individuals. And if you are very attentive to the growth and development of plants, then once you have your own children, you'll pretty much almost have it down pat in terms of how to nurture and care for your children. And I think a lot of where we fall short in our family structure especially is we don't have an agricultural background. Many of you, I mean some of you may have an ag background, but the majority of us, usually coming up in urban areas, in the cities, we don't have an agricultural background. I mean, just in the short period of time that some of us that may have been involved in agriculture, your life changes. You begin to kind of see things from a different perspective once you begin to tend to the plants and your hands are in the soil and you're grounded. You become more grounded than you've ever been before. You know, we try to use a lot of external things to ground ourselves. You know, we use crystals, and thank the brother Moreland over there who does have the crystals. And it is with the crystals, of course, where do the crystals come from?
The earth.
They come from the earth. So the crystal and the rocks are just one medium by which we can sort of find our way back to the planet. Truly back to the planet. But once you start putting your hands in the soil, and I'm talking about walking outside barefoot so that your feet are touching the ground and you're absorbing that energy from the grass, from the soil, whatever the case may be, then your whole aura, your persona begins to take on a sort of a different light. Okay? So just being involved in agriculture puts you in a very advantageous position over others who aren't involved in agriculture. I mean, think about many of you, some of y'all have office jobs. Some of y'all in the classroom, like my brother here in Dade County. I'm a former classroom teacher. You sit inside that classroom, you're just like, it's cold, it's at a desk. You'd be lucky if your school got a window for you to look outside and see a bird flying by. You know, a lot of children aren't growing up seeing these things inside the classroom. They're really not getting it. So, yeah, I just can't stress that fact enough, that we have to be able to get back to nature. And the more you become more in tune with nature, the more you begin to see who you are as an earth individual, as well as a cosmic individual, because we're all made up of all of those things. But, you know, this is where you are. You're not floating. You know, you can go to sleep and you may be able to, you know, astral project and all those things that we try to read up on and study. Oh yeah, I want to go to sleep and I want to fly away to another universe somewhere. Some of us may have those experiences, and that's great. But when you wake up, oh damn, right back here, right back on Earth. This is what you got to deal with, Mother Earth, Terra. So I just want to stress that point. All right. So what we can use agriculture for is beyond what we've seen it in the past. In the past, we've just looked at it. Well, a lot of us didn't think about it because you had easy access to food. Where do you go to get your food? Well, let me do it like this. By show of hands, who goes to farmers markets? Yes. See, that's power right there. Because those of you who raise your hand, you understand the nature and the power of fresh fruit and vegetables. All right. Now, it's hard to escape the grocery store because a lot of us still eat processed foods. You know, you're not going to find rice and pastas and a lot of those things at the farmer's market. Well, some may have it, but a lot of us will still end up going to the grocery store. So the development of what food can lead into in terms of economic development is highly critical. All right. Real quick, is it cutting me off, or is? 'Cause I see it here, but it's kind of. I just don't want to be talking the whole time. My head cut off. I don't know.
Nah, I see your head.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On the screen, I'm cut off, and I be talking the whole time, and just nothing. I just learned how to do a bow tie too. So.
It looks good.
I'm like, hey, you know, you get the bow tie.
You don't want to cut your head off, either.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate it. Okay. But the way in which we can generate money, fiat notes, Federal Reserve notes, all of these terms that we have in this thing that we swear we don't need. Hey, we get a bunch of cowrie shells. We can start doing some things. You know, or some other form of currency. You know, there are a lot of small communities across the United States that have actually began to implement their own currency. They have some serious like programs within, you know, their communities to push and they're very adamant about one business supporting another business, and that the people in the community actually support those businesses with this particular type of currency. So these things are actually taking place. So it's not unrealistic that a tight-knit community who's conscious enough can actually derive their own currency and generate wealth through their own currency. But, you know, we're dealing with this particular Federal Reserve note, so most of us still have to rely on that. But one of the things that we can do is, the closer that we get to the earth, the closer that we learn true, practical, and applicable concepts of sustainability, you begin to withdraw yourself from the grid, so to speak. You begin to withdraw yourself from that matrix. Because now you're talking about how to harvest my water, or how to catch water, how to harvest and catch sunlight, and how to convert that solar energy into energy to use for powering your inside of your home. They already got little, you've seen the little things where you can buy your phone charger, You know, you can just hook it's a solar panel phone charger.
Oh, yeah.
So you just have that next to a window, or you might be outside somewhere, you just put it there, sunlight hit it, charges your phone. So you have little devices like that that are actually on the market now, but the sustainability piece of being able to capture that sunlight, capture that rainwater, go down into the earth for geothermal heat. All right, there are a lot of technologies out there that actually allow us to, you know, slowly but surely remove ourselves from the grid, from that matrix. Okay, so the sustainability piece coupled with the economic piece is what we really want to focus on. We want to focus on the economic aspect as well as the sustainability aspect. So now the economics of agriculture, we're going to have a breakout session right before lunch and another breakout session after lunch. And I'm going to get a little bit more into the economic piece in terms of how to utilize agriculture to make that happen. Did y'all get a program?
No.
Don't have a program. Okay.
Is there one? Where is it?
Should have been one, but it's no big deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about the economic side of things. All right, and then in the second breakout session, well, here let me tell you how the day is going to flow. Okay, many of y'all don't know exactly how the day is going to flow, so let me just do that real quick.
Okay, now I'm heading off now.
So what? Oh, now I'm cut off. Yeah. All right. So basically, we're supposed to have just 30 minutes of chatting. Like I was going to chat for a little while. Sister Abundance was going to chat for a little while. Then Brother Diallo was going to chat for a little while, and then we're going to break off into our breakout sessions. But it looks, I don't know. Looks like I'm just going to freestyle it the whole time, which is it's okay. I really want to show y'all some things, but here I'll just go off of my slides and just kind of go through my presentation. But let me just give you a quick breakdown of the day so that everybody's clear on how it's all going to go down. But a lot of us have began to make inroads into some of those organizations to see where these grant dollars are so that we can begin to tap into those funds as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk on grant writing. Brother Tahark is going to speak a little bit deeper into personal finance and financial literacy. To the banks. All right. And Sis Abundance will be touching on her Drop Squad kitchen and how to go about franchising the Drop Squad kitchen. All right. And if you're all familiar with Abundance Child, of course, you've seen her posts on her website and the wonderful vegan meals that she prepares at her restaurant in Delaware. So she's going to be touching a little bit on how to franchise her entity. Okay. And after the second breakout session, we're going to have an intermission. Okay, that's going to last for about 15 minutes, and we're going to conclude business at around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. Okay, and then from about 3 until that's when we're going to open up the floor, and we're going to have a real heart-to-heart talk and discussion about what's going on in you all's minds, what you want to see happen, and how we can actually take this program and this movement to the next level. Okay, so that's pretty much how the day is going to run. All right, so that's the program. Any questions real quick about any of that I went over? Everybody okay? All right. All right, so I'll just go through my presentation while we're going to get ready for Sister Abundance to come up. All right, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. Again, apologize we don't have it up on the screen, but we got to keep the party going. Touch with me. You can contact me at urbangeoponics@gmail.com. Some of you all may have another email address for me, and that's fine, but if you don't, urbangeoponics@gmail.com. And my phone number, you can reach me at 850, and please, anybody can call. Whatever. You got any questions about how we move forward, how to set up farms, what it costs, all of that information, please get in touch with me. All right, 850-778-1531. 1531. 850-778-1531. All right, so at the heart of this thing is food security. That's what we really want to strive for. We want to make sure that... Who can tell me what food security is, just based on the words? Food security. Somebody give me a little short definition. Riziki?
Just controlling your food supply, not having to rely on somebody else to provide you with your own food.
Okay, all right, very good. Controlling your own food supply, and that actually leads us into food sovereignty. Okay, food security is, food sovereignty is the actual control of all of those aspects of agricultural production. Production, manufacturing, distribution, to consumption. We, as individuals, as a collective, we need to be in control of that food supply. That's food sovereignty. Food security is just being able to have access to healthy, fresh food, fruits and vegetables. Just being able to have access to it. All right, you look at your neighborhoods. Just think about where the closest grocery store may be. Think about where your closest farmer's market may be. All right, and think about some of the other neighborhoods where the young people don't have any access. We're talking about the closest grocery store or real market may be 5 miles away, 10 miles away.
They also call that food desert.
And that's a food desert, absolutely. That's a food desert. Pretty self-explanatory, right? It's a food desert. Lack of access to healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay? So what does food security look like? Now you can go to many of our neighborhoods and you'll see a McDonald's on this corner, a Burger King right across the street on that corner, Wendy's on the next corner, another little fish fry joint, KFC, and all of that food is right there in this hub, and that's like the economic hub for the south side of many communities. It is in my city. Okay, so that's what you see, your Pizza Huts, your Church's Chickens. I always make the joke, man, our people get out of church on Sunday and go straight to church. That's what they do. They get out of church and then they go to church. Get that chicken. And y'all remember, some of y'all who are a little older may have recollection of when churches, there was a lot going on about churches and the Ku Klux Klan and what they were putting inside of the meat and everything. You know, it was like supposedly causing, making people sterile and all, I mean, it was all kind of nasty stuff. And I think here in Jacksonville, they ended up shutting the churches down. Am I right for folks here in Jacksonville? Wasn't there a movement where y'all shut the churches down?
We got some stragglers, you know, up.
Yeah.
But a lot of them was closed down.
Okay, that's good. So food security looks like a garden in everybody's backyard. A community garden where many people within a community or within a neighborhood have access to this garden, where everybody's sharing plots or sharing a garden bed, and they're growing food and sharing with one another. Community gardens, urban farms. All right, urban farms, meaning that we're going to have many gardens, many farms set up right inside of right inside of the hood, basically, right inside the neighborhood. That's what food security looks like. I know brothers here from Tallahassee, Brother Khalifa and Fahim, they've seen the farm in Tallahassee, and it's right in the historic district that we have in Tallahassee called Frenchtown. All right, now Frenchtown at one point was a thriving, bustling, you know, a lot of music. It was the place to be. You know, B.B. King came and played there. You know, Fats Domino, all of the great jazz and blues performers, they all used to come to Frenchtown. You go to Frenchtown now, all you see is zombies. There's like 1 or 2 jazz clubs that are still there because they're trying to hold on to that tradition, but ain't nothing but zombies walking around, and I mean it. Walking up and down the street. They might as well look like the zombies on The Walking Dead, you know, like, I mean, they look like zombies, family. They bad. They real bad looking. You know, but one of the bright spots about the urban farm that we have there is that the land that it's on was a pathway that a lot of the people in the neighborhood used to use to go from one street to another street to get to the convenience store, or just to get to one of the main streets. So what we did when we constructed the farm, and when we were laying it out, we grew some cover crops and some different crops above like these pathways, and we basically created that. We kept that pathway, but we grew crops up on the sides of it so that it could create an actual pathway for them to walk through. And we made sure that when they walked through, they walked right by us. We made sure that they walked right by and right through this food, so that we engage them when they come through. There's not one person that walks through that garden. If I'm there, there's not one person that goes by without being spoken to. I make sure that I speak to everybody that comes through that garden, if I'm, you know, in reasonable distance to them. And they not thinking about no food sometimes. They walking from the drunk house that's like, I mean, this is like the house where the whole neighborhood be at. You know, one of them houses. They just sit outside and they drink from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, if they do that. So they walking from that house to the store, and they come back with beer. You'll see them go by 2-3 times. It's amazing that they just won't buy a 6-pack and just like go sit down at the house. They gotta buy like 2 at a time. So you'll see them go back and forth like 2-3 times with the same beer, same little black bag, walking back to the house. Interesting. But so we set up that garden to make sure that people continue to walk through and not to cut it off, because you'll go around the nation and you'll see community gardens and it'll have a fence around it. Right. It'll be barricaded off. That's not a real community garden. A community garden is something that's open. It's open for the people to come through and see. Now, of course, you may have your vagabonds that are going to come through and they're going to steal some collard greens, and you know, they do that. But that's just like leaving a certain amount of food to the side for the insects. Just let them have it. So if a few people want to come by and they steal some collard greens, ain't no big deal. Don't shut the whole thing down because somebody stole some kale, or, I mean, well, they ain't stealing kale. Right. They ain't stealing chard, they ain't stealing arugula. They just stealing collard greens. That's it. That's the only thing they stealing.
I wonder who was doing it.
I caught one lady one time too. She was stealing some bell peppers. And I just got out of the truck and I looked, and she looked up and she saw me. She was like, "Hey," you know, trying to play it off. "I'm just getting 1 or 2. I said, "That's fine, but just say something to me next time. Talk to me. Let me know if you want something, and you know, take it. Anytime you come through the garden, just say something good to me. Just say something positive to me." So next time she came through the garden, "God is good. I told you. I say something." But that's what you get. That's what you get down at the garden. You're around our people, and they down and out. They're struggling, but they've you know, gotten a certain level of contentment with their struggle and their addiction. They're content. At least they give off that persona, but we know that it's eating them up on the inside, physically and mentally. But that's what we want food security to look like that. Gardens, community gardens, urban farms, people in the backyard growing. A few of you all in here may remember, like, and some of y'all may have studied, like during the war, like World War II, I believe, they had these victory gardens.
Oh yeah. Where
the president at that time encouraged everybody to begin to, you know, start growing your own food. Start growing your own food, start trading with one another, and you know, victory garden, because it was victory for the war. You know, we got to go over to Europe and defeat the European powers that be. And one way to show that support, of course, was to create a victory garden in your backyard. All right, so that's what we need to get to. And I think some of y'all may have seen a Facebook post of like Sweden or Switzerland or some European country where it's an aerial shot, yes, and it's just green. It's just like everybody has a garden in their backyard. But a lot of our people are still like, "Well, I don't know. That's gonna make my yard look, you know, we still growing lawns, we still growing grass."
Yeah.
There's another Facebook page out there called Grow Food, Not Lawns. And it has many pictures of people who have transformed their front yard to a garden oasis. And that's what you want. You don't want to just try to see. People still like, oh, put it in the backyard. Well, who gonna see it in the backyard? Ain't nobody gonna know that you're doing anything in the backyard. So you transform your front yard into something where you're growing, then your neighbors stop by. Oh, hey, oh, what you got growing there? Oh yeah. My grandmama used to grow them right there. And then what happens is there's this new conversation, this new level of interaction that's beginning to take place amongst people in the neighborhood. Because I know many of y'all don't even know some of your neighbors.
Right.
That's maybe 2 doors down from you.
Right.
You don't even know who they are. You go outside, hey, that's it.
That's it, man.
Come back home from work, hey, that's it. That's it. So I put a garden out in my mother's front yard, and when I'm tending to it, neighbors that I've seen for years that ain't never stopped and say nothing to me, my family, nobody. They stop and they want to talk now. They want to talk, and I welcome it because now I'm actually getting to know my neighbor. I don't have to go take a fruitcake to their door or something like, hey, I'm such and such, I live down the street. No, you walk around the block, we drive through, you see what people have going on, and you begin to talk with one another. And I want everybody to write this down. There was a term that was coined by this group called Via Campesina. VIA space CAMPESINA. Via Campesina. And what this organization did when it was created was to, it was created in 1996, and it was to advocate for food security and food sovereignty for indigenous people around the world. So you have indigenous groups in Latin America or South America, Central America, Europe, Australia, Africa, and our groups here in the United States as well. But there's no reason why, and this is what I've been actually waiting to do. I don't want to contact these people and put us down as an indigenous group to be a part of the organization and for this organization to advocate on our behalf when we're not strong. So we have to be strong in numbers and actually be a group on paper saying that this is who we are, this is what we represent, this is our birthright, and we want to be a part or an active member of this group of the Via Campesina. And they have conferences, and it's a way for us to actually get back to real land ownership. Okay? So that's Via Campesina. So they're advocates of food sovereignty. So again, it's the control of food, being able to produce it, distribute it, and consume it. And that's at the center of and the people are at the center of decisions on food systems and policies. Okay, so it's not just growing food, but it's actually being involved in food policy. So that means being involved in government, right? And as Moors, that's one thing that a lot of times we take pride in, being governmentally sound and governmentally astute in our movement, in our actions, our behavior, the way we write, the way we talk. Very professional in that way. So we have to get involved in government. That's why I love what Brother Ishmael Bey and the brothers in Syracuse are doing with Brother Khalid Bey, correct? He's a congressman in the
Councilman.
Sorry.
He's a councilman.
I'm sorry. Was it City Council? Yeah, City Council in Syracuse. All right, Khalid Bey. So we need to be active in government. We have to be active in government. That's the way we'll be able to make a lot more headway in the things that we're serious about. All right. Okay, so that's food sovereignty. All right, so it's about production, manufacturing, and distribution. That's the key right there. Production, manufacturing, and distribution. That's what we're really focusing on here at the Summit of the Moors. The production piece has been going on quite successfully. The manufacturing piece is in the process. We began to manufacture certain things, certain crops, We'll be able to display some of those today. And the distribution piece is key because we'll be able to actually create a network across the country and across the globe. We're actually shipping our products and being able to export as well as import from other moors within this nation and around the world. Okay, those are our objectives. Okay. All right. Food cooperatives. Just write that term down. You know, co-ops. Began to do a little bit of research on co-ops. You can go to localharvest.org. That'll get you into how to begin to properly set up a co-op. Localharvest.org. And food co-ops are worker or customer-owned businesses that provide grocery items of the highest quality and best value to their members. Co-ops can take the shape of retail stores or buying clubs. And that's what you want to do to start out. You just want to start out with a very small group of people. Start out with family, start out with friends, with people that you trust. Start out a buying club. Buy into getting bulk produce or bulk items. And then you share those things out. That's how all co-ops across the nation got started. With a group of about 5 or 10 people. Sometimes 2 or 3 people. Okay?